Hello everyone, Fraczon here, and today we're gonna take a look at the Tier 5 Omaha American side. It is a cruiser. It's actually really good. It has a broadside, or at least very good in the sense that I really enjoy playing with the ship. It has a full broadside of 8 cannons, and in terms of modifications, I've pretty much modified everything apart from the sea hull. That is because with the sea hull I get less artillery, less torpedoes for more anti-aircraft. However, given my kind of playstyle, I do prefer to have, let's say, I'm more DPS oriented rather than carrier support oriented. Therefore, the Omaha C hull has not been introduced into this gameplay. In other more practical terms, my firing range is 12.7 kilometers, and with the gun upgrade, I fire pretty much every 7 to 8 seconds, or 6 to 7. Now, I'm not sure, then in-game we'll check it out. However, I think the DPS output by this ship is absolutely phenomenal, and having said this and given this very brief introduction, we can now go into the gameplay. And here we go with today's gameplay. So I have managed, as always, I usually cut the, let's say, most boring part, where there is basically no action. So in this map, I have decided to go to sea. I've actually been quite lucky, since both the Izokaze and the Kuma next to me have decided to support. And overall, it appeared that the whole team was pretty much moving towards sea. And given how World of Warships functions, it's really important to not be charging off on your own. And generally, let's say, moving in big groups tends to actually give you better results in game. Or at least, unless you're a destroyer, at that point you can just savagely and wildly charge the enemy battleship line and somehow manage to survive. But that's up to your, let's say, how risky you want to play. However, in this game I was going rather, let's say, there's not much pressure, and actually with the latest patch they did introduce this new skill for the Omaha, that is the T, and quite frankly I have absolutely no idea what that is. So if anybody actually knows what it is, or had more time to go over the patch notes, you're more than welcome to comment and shed some light on what this means. However, I'm actually being a bit suspicious here during the game, because I do see planes moving in, however no sign of a ship, and we're basically inside the sea cap point. So I'm considering that this might actually be a bit of a boring game, because if everybody else went B or A and we're going to see, it's going to take forever to eventually catch up to them. And when you're trying to be a cruiser and you're trying to support, you don't really want to be in a side of a map where basically nothing is going on. And here I'm beginning to worry a bit, because I see 2 squadrons coming in, and if they had any sense, they'd probably be going for the battleships. But however, they've decided to pick us as target, and in particular the Izokaze destroyer. So note to, I mean, the splitting of the torpedoes was really nice here, both for the Kuma and on the Izokaze. However, note for players that are playing aircraft carriers, you do not want to be targeting, certainly not destroyers with torpedoes, and not even destroyers with their torpedoes. Your big objectives are most assuredly the battleship or other aircraft carriers. Anyway, the Izokaze, as you might have imagined, which is built basically for avoiding shots, managed to clear the torpedo pattern relatively easily, while I saw that the Kuma next to me wasn't that lucky and only was good enough to only get hit by 1. So as I'm approaching here, I'm not exactly thrilled. I see a Congo in the distance that is really strong. However, here I also see this Nicholas, and I'm not exactly sure what it's doing, because it looks rather immobile at the moment, and I'm very lucky that it's actually turning the corner, so I open fire on it with high explosive shots. I'm actually mulling over the choice of loading AP, but I just thought that might lose valuable time, since I think ideally this destroyer really needs to be killed quickly, and effectively I do manage to blow it up. Here torpedoes are coming in, and I think I will barely be able to dodge this torpedo, and I'm actually that was a pretty close call. And general advice, when trying to dodge torpedoes, do not be afraid to cut throttle. Absolutely do it. Most often than not, torpedoes are fired leading, so if you cut throttle, you have, I think, better chances of avoiding. However, it's very situational. Sometimes it's better to accelerate, other times not. However, maybe the best piece of advice I can give you is be aware of the map, don't tunnel vision too much. So here, there was a destroyer to my left. I don't actually know who's taking care of it, but I'm seeing that this Congo is taking fire basically from all sides, so I thought, well, I might as well join in. And I'm lucky enough that the Congo is actually firing against another battleship or another ship of our team and is absolutely not giving any attention to me. I don't get the killing blow on it, but that's absolutely irrelevant. The important thing is having sunk the Congo, having sunk another battleship. And here I see another Wyoming, and here I do see that the guns are actually facing my way. And I'm thinking, okay, this might as well be the end of me. However, for some reason, the Wyoming does screw up its driving and ends up its steering and does end up against the island. So just sitting duck, I'm using HE just because I need to. I'd like to set it on fire. I see he's already on fire, so if I can get some other, let's say, damage over time on him, I'd be really happy. However, this Wyoming, probably for the better of decisions, decides, or at least better for me, decides to go and shoot at this Kuma that is pretty much dead. If the Wyoming could get a decent salvo on it, it would be pretty easy to sink. However, the Wyoming's health is dropping literally like a stone. I'm generally trying to contribute. I did switch to armor piercing because I think we'd better get this over and done with before the Wyoming might just fire a crazy salvo, double citadel me, and basically shut me down completely. Luckily enough, that does not happen, and we managed to destroy the Wyoming. I don't get the final blow, but personally I don't care. But now I'm much more worried because I see planes coming in this way, and I know that somewhere out there there's an aircraft carrier, and seeing that all the activity is on the left, I think I'm better off hunting down this aircraft carrier. I'm noting that there's torpedo planes next to me. I get bombarded, and here I don't use my repair immediately. And then I'll explain why. Here I'm trying to dodge. I'm actually quite lucky that there was this dispersion of the torpedoes, and I managed to avoid them quite easily. So the reason why I did not repair immediately the fire was because I was really afraid of having to eat a torpedo. Or so the scenario would have been, okay, I repair fire, I get hit by a torpedo, and I get flooding. And at that point, flooding will ensue for another minute and about 25 seconds until I have another repair. And flooding for 1 minute and 25 seconds will be rather devastating, while fires do last much less. Here with these torpedoes, I'm really thinking I might get hit by one, but luckily, really luckily, barely, that torpedo is literally scraping, let's say, the iron off from my rudder. So I do manage to avoid even these torpedoes. I think I was lucky that I actually shot down a plane before they headed for me, so that was one torpedo less, so probably one torpedo leading less that made it easier for me to dodge. And so, having avoided the aeroplane onslaught, I'm moving out to finally kill this carrier. However, I keep seeing this detected notice, so I'm actually thinking that the carrier must be in the proximity here to the right. I'm actually thinking, if the carrier is behind this island, I'm very, very, very dumb and very stupid, and it can't be possible that I haven't spotted it yet. So, to take any insurance policy against this, I decide to fire away some torpedoes, and I'm thinking, well, if the aircraft carrier is hiding there, is moving around there, I'm pretty sure I will be hitting them. Because, by the way, there are also two aircraft carriers, so I'm thinking it's entirely possible that one might be hiding here and one is instead maybe somewhere around A. However, the more I get near to this, the nearer I get to this island, still absolutely no trace of the aircraft carrier. And here I'm thinking I've been led, let's say, on a sort of a witch hunt, and I'm literally searching for something that's not there. However, I do see the plane trajectories and where they're coming from, and I'm pretty sure I'm going in the right direction. However, for some reason, the concealment, let's say, is working better than usual. I do notice that I just want to make really, really, really sure that there's absolutely nothing behind this island. I notice that there's dive bombers, but I'm not really worried about them. I mean, sure, they can crit you, they can really hurt, but I'm much more worried about instead the torpedo bombers, which luckily were actually deployed very poorly. Once again, same thing I did as before with the repair, really wanting to avoid to have flooding and not being able to repair. So here I keep seeing squadrons and squadrons and squadrons, and finally I spot the target I was looking for, the completely undefended bogue. And here I'm switching to high explosives, since if I manage to set it on fire, no planes can land or take off. Here I managed to hit others. I was actually completely caught unaware, and here I'm thinking there must be... I really thought I was going to get hit there at least once. However, the Omaha proves extremely maneuverable and extremely fast, and I did manage to dodge all of them, which is quite frankly a miracle in my opinion, because I was really thinking that given the proximity at which those torpedoes were fired, I would have gotten hit by at least one. And I'd been slightly, let's say, target blinded, or at least I wasn't that aware because I was focused firing that aircraft carrier, so I might have slightly lost, let's say, my awareness of planes coming in. And that's, I think, one of the skills that's really important to master within this game if you want to try to excel, or at least try to play good games. I think overall that's a very important skill. Having said this, I'm actually really curious, since one aircraft carrier has gone down, I'm really curious to find the second one. And of course, in my very optimistic and high-spirited mood, I thought that it might as well be, let's say, hiding here. And since I'm pretty much the most advanced ship, or at least northwise, I'm thinking maybe I should take let's say, responsibility. And here finally I find the Independence, that is at 14 kilometers, and that's rather unfortunate because my maximum range is 12.7. So at the moment I'm absolutely out of range, although I see that my friend Omaha next to me, that is 3 kilometers in front of me, is actually capable of firing on the enemy target, and that's great. And here I'm actually rather curious because the Independence is really moving quickly. I think I've never played against the Independence, and so I just was curious to know, like, at what tier the Independence was, or just how was it possible that even an aircraft carrier is moving that quickly, because I see I'm not really gaining that much on it. I mean, we're taking pretty much parallel courses, and I'm barely gaining 100 meters every, I don't know, 10-15 seconds, if not gaining at all. So here just wanted to make sure, like, how high is the Independence in the tier ranking, and it's actually 6. And however, here the Independence either slows down or changes direction, and finally I'm exactly within that very sweet spot of about 13 kilometers range. So here I start firing my first salvo, also a partial salvo, since I can't really expose a full broadside. I do notice that there's a Phoenix and another battleship to my left. However, I'm not too worried about them since they're still 16 and 15 kilometers away, so they can't shoot me and I can't shoot them. So I think I might as well focus on the Independence, since shortly enough the Independence will also get crawling, let's say, behind the island, and at that point it will be completely untargetable, at least from my angle of fire. So I do score, let's say, some hits on it. Unfortunately, no set on fire, which is exactly what I was looking for. Here I get distracted. I think I might just sink the Phoenix. That might have been a minor misplay, because I could have fired off another salvo on the Independence. However, let's say my greediness in thinking that I could have sunk the Phoenix in a second gave way. So, but anyway, the Phoenix gets sunk by somebody else. The Independence is slowly burning down. I'm hoping to amaze everyone with some crazy, let's say, trick shot here, but I can't really manage to get the range correct with the islands just covering my view. In all cases, I didn't think I went too far on that, actually. And still, the Independence does burn down, which basically leaves this poor Cleveland all alone against everyone else. Note to self, though, that in a 1v1 exchange, the Cleveland would quite literally tear my hull open, because even though it has no torpedoes, gun-wise it's monstrous. And after all, it is the direct evolution of the Omaha, since it's a tier 6. So I'm lucky I have support, I'm lucky I can get some shots off. I'm really trying to aim to avoid, let's say, hitting the rocks. So I know I'm not hitting the main citadel, but it's just because if I'm trying to aim for that, I will be leading too much, and therefore I will be shooting against the mountain. So it's only for this reason that I'm actually managing to only hit the tail, because I'm thinking that small damage is better than no damage. But in all cases, the salvos keep hitting. I'm quite satisfied. I get actually a hit to the citadel and wrap up the match. Overall, I think it was a rather satisfactory game. I really do enjoy playing with the Omaha. I did, I think, rather okay damage in the sense that I split it up between armor piercing and high explosive. And having said this, I hope you enjoy, so please like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you feel like doing, and so any feedback is always appreciated. And I hope to see you